Hey, it's Robert. So, I don't know if you're like me, but I am just so sick of these self-help gurus talking about how you can change your life, how you can make it better. These fitness guys saying, hey, you can get in shape. Maybe you can lose some weight. I mean, come on. If you're happy being stuck, like I am, if you're happy not making any progress, like me, you're going to love these tips. So here they are. 10 tips, rules really, to stay stuck right where you are. So follow along. So the first one is to attempt big leaps of change rather than making small, tiny improvements. That one you really need to follow, because if you don't, if you start focusing on little, small behaviors, then you're going to have some success, and that success is going to lead to more success. So forget that. Don't focus on small, tiny behaviors. Focus on huge things, radically changing your life. That'll guarantee stagnation. Second one is to really ignore how your environment shapes your behavior. I mean, we all know that our friends, our family, the people we hang out with, they have a huge influence on us. So if we don't want to make any progress, we want to hang around people who discourage us, who are pessimistic, and who really suck our energy from us. Those are the folks that are going to make sure that we don't improve our lives. The third one is to, instead of trying to focus on creating new behaviors for the things that we want, let's try to focus on the things that we don't want. That always works. If you want to stay stuck, just focus on the stuff that's not working. That's one of my favorites, actually. The fourth, and I've written about this before, is you really want to rely on your willpower. I know I wrote before about ignoring willpower, but forget that. We really want to focus on staying stuck where we are. So just assume that if you feel like maybe you don't have a lot of willpower, you probably don't. And if you don't have it, you certainly can't get it. You can't create it. So just assume that, you know what, if you don't feel like doing something, you're probably never going to feel like doing it. The fifth is a big one. We really want to blame our lack of progress on just simply not being motivated. Because there's probably no other reason why we're not doing the things we want. It's probably because of motivation. And so if we just think, I'm just not motivated, let's just blame it on that, that's the kind of attitude we want to make sure we stay stuck. The sixth, this is kind of a tricky one. It's called underestimate the power of triggers. So what's a trigger? Alright, so there's this guy. Alright, he's a professor actually at Stanford, but he's a doctor there and he's done a lot of stuff. But anyway, his name is B.J. Fogg. And he's got this model that's really simple and effective on how to change behavior. So don't look him up. Whatever you do, don't follow his advice, because if you do, there's no end to the amount of progress you're going to make. But anyway, he talks about these triggers. And a trigger is something that, like a Post-it note. You stick it somewhere. It reminds you of something. It's an alarm that reminds you of something. It's placing an object, like a gym bag, in front of your door so you trip over it, which reminds you to work out. So we don't want that. Tripping is okay, but we don't want to work out. So don't use triggers. Just assume that they don't exist and don't use them, because if you do, B.J. Fogg and his team at the Persuasive Technology Lab say that if you use them, you're going to change your behavior. So don't follow that advice. The seventh is a big one, because if you want to change your behavior, we know that you need more than just information. If we needed information, we would all be changing our behavior, because there's a lot of information out there. So make sure that if you're feeling a little hesitant, that's alright. Just try to get more information. That'll be sure to guarantee you don't make any change in your life. The eighth is to focus on abstract goals, really nebulous goals, rather than concrete behavior, because the research says if you focus on small concrete behaviors, well, you're probably going to do them, and we don't want to do them. So we want to focus on vague, nebulous goals. That'll make sure that you're not motivated and that you don't make any progress. The ninth, we want to make sure that whatever we do, we assume that we're always going to have to do it, that we seek to change our behavior forever. Forever, forever, forever. instead of just saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to test this out. Because if we think, well, we're just going to test it out, do a little experiment, then we're probably going to follow through on it, and we don't want to do that. And the last one is to assume that behavior change is difficult. Difficult. I know it's not. You know it's not. You know you can change your behavior at any point. You know there's a ton of information and knowledge out there. BJ Fogg, he's got this model. You can change any behavior you want. But let's just forget about that and assume for the moment behavior change is hard, that you're going to stay stuck forever, that you'll never be able to change. That's the kind of attitude you and I both need to make sure we don't make any progress. So you can read about these 10 rules on how not to change at yourother8hours.com. And so if there are other rules that you can think of that I forgot about how to stay stuck where you are, love to hear about them. So write them in the comments. Send me an email, whatever you got to do, because I want to stay stuck, and I know you do too. See you next week.